What up, what up, what up?
What's happening? What's happening?
We are back once again for another episode of Religiously Incorrect.
Yes, sir. Today, we are brought to you and we are sponsored this evening.
Read the script.
By the African American Community Fund.
Look at all them African Americans up there.
The African American Community Fund, established in 2020 of the Foundation of Appalachian, Ohio, supports Black-led and Black-serving organizations throughout the 32 counties of the Appalachian, Ohio to elevate the quality of life and address disparities in African American communities. You can check them out at www.appalachianohio.org, AACF, 740-753-1111. Listen, if you don't know, those 32 counties also include Mahoning County, Trumbull County, as well as Ashtabula, yes.
It only includes my house. It's the Todd Johnson Appalachian Fund.
I was about to say your street name. Y'all need to know.
Yeah, you don't need to know where I live.
Y'all need to know where you live.
Saints are already stalking me.
Kimmer Brooks.
The Kimmer Brooks, not the Kimmer Brooks.
Todd Stan and Kimmer Brooks.
Not Westlake Terrace. Hey, y'all. Good to see you, Tanya. God bless you. If you're watching, if you can see and hear us, be sure to tap in. Say hello, like, share,
please.
Tag. Let us know you're in the building. It is Sunday night service. It's Sunday night service. I got to give and this is going to lead into our opening subject. Okay. I've talked a little bit about it before, but I'm going to bring it up again.
Okay.
I want to give a shout out to the family of the late, great, legendary Reverend Leon Troy Sr.
Yes.
The iconic general of the pastoral ministry in Ohio and former pastor of the Second Baptist Church in Warren, Ohio, as well. Let me get this out first. The Second Baptist Church in Columbus, Ohio. And his very first church was the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Sandusky, Ohio. Now, Reverend Troy was the man.
He was.
When he was here in Warren from 65 to 76, he was one of the most influential pastors to ever blow through the city of Warren, made his mark, his impact, his imprint. And it was my high honor, I said on Sunday today, I said it was my high honor shortly after I became the pastor at Second to go down to Columbus and sit and talk with him for nearly 2 hours at his son's church, New Salem Baptist Church, Pastor Keith, Uncle Keith, as I call him. It was just the highest honor of my life until last October when I had the chance to preach at New Salem and Doc Troy came in the room. And I mean, he came in the room. We didn't expect him to come. We weren't sure if he was going to be up to it. And he came in the room. And I just can't describe it, what it means to be in the presence of greatness.
Absolutely.
And he's going to be sorely, sorely missed. Services are going to be on Tuesday down in Columbus. We're going to go down and honor him as a church because he is beloved by the Warren community, just loved all over across denominations. But that brings me to my opening salvo, which is the consistent letdown that is the large Black funeral.
Oh my God.
Whenever there is a prominent figure, be it a renowned minister or a pastor, a bishop, even a superstar, here's the problem of why I use the word let down. The reason I use the word let down is because we artificially raise our expectations of what this service should be based on the fact that every preacher in the world is going to be there, that it's a prominent person, and that, the music's supposed to be this, that, and the other. People are like, I know the sermon's going to be fire and stuff. And more often than not, it's been my observation that it falls flat. And I know that's such a shallow word to use when you're describing a funeral, because a funeral is not supposed to be for our entertainment, but therein lies the problem.
Right.
We treat it like it's supposed to be for our entertainment.
And I think oftentimes the stage is just bigger than or at least they feel like the stage is bigger than what it is. And, I think they try to manufacture praise.
Always.
They try to manufacture praise. And I don't think that's what it's, and I don't even think those who are being memorialized, those who are being, eulogized, they're like, what's going on? They're up in heaven like, what
are y'all doing?
What are y'all doing? Y'all know what I would have done.
Right. And I think there are some people who are, it's celebration, it's a victory. We are, and it depends on the circumstance of what. But for the most part, it reminds me a lot of wedding praise breaks. One time somebody has a legitimate emotional moment, but everyone else sees it as the benchmark that they need to now meet and exceed in future services.
Right.
And I believe that the vast majority of services, including those of people that we love dearly or were devout Christians, or even if they were great praisers, there's just too much of a mix of emotion and too much of like a swirl of concerns that surround a funeral, just a weirdness around all the logistics, all of the preparation, all of the traditions, all of the expectations, all of the even things that must be done and done correctly and not as casually as you normally would do to try to shove in a move of God. Don't you say an unkind word of my wedding praise break. You know what I need to see? I need to see a white wedding praise break.
That is hilarious.
A white wedding praise. Y'all just be jumping around and mosh pit praise like they do. But
I just want to bring it full circle because honestly, man, honestly, I understand you talking about the big, but over the last several years, I have not heard very many good funerals, period.
Eulogies, you mean?
Eulogies. I have not heard I don't know what it is. I think it's just, and that word you said, falling flat, that is exactly what, now, to his credit, the other day, Reverend Simon killed it. He put on a show.
He threw down.
He threw down at my aunt Roz, Tracy Dawson's Pastor Tracy Dawson's mother. He preached a word, but other than that, I've been to several funerals, and it's really been like, do y'all just think of something? I don't know.
First of all, let's be clear here. There's a lot. We're going to explain to Scott Heater what a praise. I wish we had a video. We need to explain to Scott Heater what a praise. You need to visit our church because you know what? I'm gonna send you a clip, Scott, because we've been bucking the last couple of weeks. Yeah, we've been bumping the last couple of weeks. So a praise break is just when the music plays and the people clap and dance. And I mean, it's some people call it getting
a praise
happy.
Break is what you looking at on Facebook and you say.
Yeah,
when you scroll up,
black people
that's
crazy.
Exactly black people going crazy in church
and stuff. We've seen some of our white brothers and sisters.
Oh, absolutely,
brother. They get down. Matter of fact, they stole the praise break. They're killing it now. But what I was gonna say was, let's just be honest. There's a lot of poor preaching everywhere.
It is,
and because funerals are extra hard to preach, and people either overdo it trying to be clever, or there are only so many themes you can preach on.
Right.
And God help me if you're preaching on somebody you really don't know, which I have to do a lot of. And the sermon becomes more about, comfort, God's assurance, which is, there's no doubt, wonderful themes. But yes, you got to watch Reverend Carter. We have it on video, by the way. Reverend Carter was getting her step on.
She told up.
She was getting her step on today.
Glory.
Yeah, she was. I got her today.
We got her on video. We said,
go back and watch the stream.
Go back and watch the stream and you will see it. But, there are only so many themes that you can preach on. And even if the preacher is killing, the vast majority of the audience didn't come there for that.
Absolutely.
And we forget as the saints that we are still, and sometimes we have to explain this to you. Scott,
wedding funeral. We just do that weird.
There's no way. You know what's crazy? There's no way to describe this, and that's what's cracking me up. Is that there is no way to describe this. This could go viral. Describe it to my white brother in Christ what a praise break is.
What's the weird dance they do?
Yeah, isn't that like when they like be in like in a circle or something, and or like the money dance or the. I don't know.
River dance.
This is definitely a cultural clash right now. But we'll get back to it. I promise you, Scott. We'll get back to it. I promise. But yeah, so I just wanted to say that, even if you're the most devout Christian even if your family has a lot of saints in it, this day and age, most of our families are like 70% not saints.
Right.
So like the 5 or 6 of us that are deep in the church, we will come to our loved one's funeral trying to have church. And the other 30 cousins would be like, dog, I just want to smoke a blunt. Like, I want to go out in the parking lot and I want to go, But then the other thing is, oftentimes the person is doing a good job, but everything that has came before him has been so long. So long.
It's like by the time you get up, you're like, man, dude,
nobody wants to preach at the end of
just
like
say ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and call it a day.
And if it is a prominent funeral or a well-known person, or especially a preacher, so many preachers and people will give words and give many sermons. So many will sneak a preach. That half the time, all the good phrases have already been said. They have given all the good analogies. They've talked about how one time Bishop Clark did one about my phone died and the battery was dead and they told me to send the phone back and they said it was something, but I put it in the box and the box came back and it was just so good that by the time the preacher got up, it was like, bro, how you gonna top that? How you gonna top that? And that's the funny thing is, them little 5-minute joints, little 3-minute joints, because there's no prerequisite, there's none of that stuff. They just get to hit it and quit it. It's somebody else. Sometimes they don't even sneak. Right? They just take a whole text. But it was so good, and then like you said, so much stuff transpired. I mean, we got to listen to these. We got to, of course, the infamous resolutions.
My soul cries out, the long the extended version.
The poem nobody asked for.
The mime.
Actually, that is a good one. Regina said sneaker preach should be an app for daily devotions. I love it. Sneaker preach should be an act. You know what I need to do? I need to reserve that right now. Sneaker preach. Okay, one preacher got up talking about since he came the furthest, he gets more time.
I heard that. I've heard that said.
No.
I've heard that said. Yes.
I had it. I had it at a funeral last year. And they were from they had come from a mighty long way. They had come from down south. And it was a group of brothers of the deceased, and they went on. She wants her. They get on this trademark site right now.
That's a good idea.
Taking each other to court.
And then you got
this is the businesswoman, by the way.
Right. Then you got the family, and we as preachers try our best to say the family has said, keep your comments to 3 minutes or less.
They didn't hear that.
They could care.
3 minutes
less.
is walking up to the mic.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, so I know it's going to be a great celebration for Reverend Troy, and I'm not connecting these two themes at all, but it's just an observation. And you know what? People, I think, come to our services sometimes, and I almost always do my thing. There was one time when I didn't, and I kid you not, and Mike knows about this because it was somebody he knew. It was like an almost all-white crowd. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm not about to hoop about the trumpet sound, because usually, and his mother was like, I was waiting on you to go in.
You didn't hoop, Pastor?
I did not hoop.
Wow.
And I love. Now, I'll be honest, I will brag on myself. I can preach a darn good funeral service.
I love them.
I can preach a pretty good funeral service.
I don't love them, but I preach a pretty good funeral service myself.
Yeah, so. I wish people died more so I could preach more. Why can't I preach these on Sunday mornings? Roll that casket in here on Sunday morning. And I have the nerve to say, my favorite, every pastor has a lying line. Mm-hmm. Every pastor has a lying line. Every pastor's number one lying line is, I won't be before you long. Uh-huh. But my lying line at funerals is, if you want to hear me preach, come on Sunday. Yep. Because I'm just going to give a eulogy now. And then 20 minutes later,
we into it.
We're in E flat, So I love it. I love it. But, rest in peace, Reverend Troy. And I know that the Troy family, we call them the House of Troy.
Okay.
The 4 sons, the House of Troy. I know they're going to do a phenomenal job because they always
they're gonna bring it.
They're fine people. But y'all know what time it is. It's time for Meme of the Week.
Meme of the Week. Meme of the Week.
Welcome to Religiously Incorrect, ladies and gentlemen.
Meme of the Week. Meme of the
Week. Thank you. Send us your memes of the week.
Meme of the Week. Meme of the Week.
We are, these are all jokes. We are just playing.
So this meme just went viral. It's more of a viral video. It's less of a meme. It's more of a viral video. But what's up, K1? We had a good time at this wedding yesterday. It's more of a viral video. We're gonna have to talk about it because you might have seen it, but it's just too good not to share. And if you blink, you'll miss it. So watch this. The kid is just up there like, why, Dad?
My wife said that is her after having Grayson all day long.
After having Grayson all day long? Yes. But the poor child is up there like, why, Dad? Why did you do this to us?
I can believe that there are plenty of parents who feel like that. Just give them to Jesus.
You know what? Mike, try to do like one of those split screens. The one that'll show it on the side. Yeah, try to do that. Hit us first. And then that. Let's just commentate a little bit, see if that plays. All right, here we go. He's running down. He throws him. First he throws him up there. Then he jumps out on the table.
The guy couldn't stop it. He's a horrible free safety.
Ever, right?
He's the worst free safety. He's Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders of free safeties. He couldn't tackle him.
Kid is confused.
And he just walked away. So
I looked this up, Pastor Jeff. And there were several things. First of all, I say the funny stuff.
Okay.
Some funny stuff was, he's really ready for his kid to go back to school.
Right.
All right. Somebody else said, take your burdens to the Lord and lead them there. Somebody said, when I say take me to the king, this is what I'm talking about. But then they got serious. Somebody said that the child may be sick. And I'm assuming this is a Catholic or some sort of Roman or some Orthodox, because there are some people who will believe that certain relics or statues have healing properties. Yeah. And he just broke protocol, which to me, that's a praise break.
That's a praise break.
Did
he have on shoes, Mike?
Did he have on shoes?
I don't know.
Run it one more time.
Split that screen one more time. We got to get this some time.
Because he was flying.
This is worth us. Did he take his shoes off like we used to do when we was kids?
Yeah, how old shoes?
You know why? He was from a black neighborhood.
Or he had on sandals and was like, I can't run.
No. He's from a black neighborhood, because everybody knows in the black neighborhood you run faster when you take your shoes off. Everybody knows that. So some people said that he believed in a healing. Other people said he believed his baby needed an exorcism, had a spirit. Now, baby was just cutting up. Maybe the baby was just being like Grayson in church.
Hey, if
And
he was
maybe
being
what
like Grayson,
Tiffany
I
needs to do,
understand it.
throw him up in the choir stand next time.
Hey, throw him somewhere.
But I said it before. The deacons, security, armor bearers, whoever they are, the guardians of the relic, the worst. Because not only did he run all the way down and throw the child up there, but then he climbed up on the table himself.
Climbed up and then got down and just left. And they just was looking like, and the kid is just up there like, hey, you know, I'm about to preach today.
Well, all I got to say is, try this. He said, Daddy don't like changing diapers.
Right.
Little boy dropped a super bomb and it wasn't good. All I got to say is try this at a Baptist church on a communion table and you will not leave to see tomorrow.
No,
You're getting snatched up.
You will not leave to see tomorrow. You will be the body and the bread and the blood of Jesus.
Did you see the one video? What's that one pastor's name? He real Afrocentric. He was like, put the mic down and take him and escort him out the truck. Take the mic off.
Gino Jennings. Gino Jennings had a guy try to disrupt. He said they clearly didn't have any black ushers working that day. Gino Jennings had a guy trying to disrupt his service.
Well, he let him preach.
Did he let him preach? He let him preach, but
when he preached, he said something inaccurate about Gino. At least Gino thought it was inaccurate, and then they kept on trying to go. He kept on trying to go back and forth. Gino was like, "I let you speak,
right
now. Let me say my word." But then the guy kept on trying to talk. That's when Gino
and that was over.
Yeah, you ain't gonna out talk.
Speaking of which, I saw my first Gino Jennings praise break.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I wish we had that video.
We
Gino Jennings praise break.
I need to see that.
Yes, he was dancing and shouting and everything. Knocked the chair over. He's like me. He's like me on a Sunday.
What?
It was amazing. It was amazing. But yeah, we got.
You was doing the river dance.
He was doing the river dance.
No, you was doing the river dance.
I was doing the Jeff Stanford.
You had your arms crossed.
I had my arms crossed. I was doing the Russian.
Look at him river dancing.
I was doing the Russian kick dance. But yeah, we got to pull that up. That might have to be next week's meme of the week. Because I thought he was like against it. I guess they're, he's just against everything else.
I thought he would have done it, but okay.
It is what it is. Well, Religiously Incorrect is brought to you by the Phillips Care family of businesses. They're our sponsors. Well, one of our sponsors is Phillips Lawn Care Services. Your grass is probably 3 feet high by now, so you might as well let them come in and cut it. Or if leaves are going to start falling soon, you might as well make a reservation and let them come take care of all your fall needs. Phillips Care Lawn Services, 330-219-7916. And while you're at it, check out Phillips Care Cleaning Service. They do everything from carpet cleaning, house cleaning, wood floor cleaning, move in, move out, and all sorts of renovation and repair services on commercial and residential buildings. Check out Phillips Care LLC on Facebook. Tell my man Fernando we sent you. We thank the Phillips Care family of businesses for being a wonderful sponsor of Religiously Incorrect.
Amen.
Also, we are brought to you by Action, the Alliance for Congregational Transformation, influencing our neighborhoods. Listen, we are having our golf outing coming up on September 11th.
I'll be there.
911. Listen, Todd just said he's going to be here. And I watched him the other day hit one right into the river. Listen,
into the river.
Which I'm trying to tell you, you don't have to know how to golf.
Even the golf balls need to be saved.
He baptized
baptizing them.
Listen, you don't have to know how to golf to come and be part of the golf outing. It is, I think it's $100 per person.
Never mind, I won't be there.
For a person team. Yes, you will. So please come out and hey, good evening, Pastor Hallberg. How are you, my man? I've been missing you, Doc. Come on out and get your golf tickets and get your team and come on out and be part of the golf outing for Action.
All right. So our theme, and it's funny because sometimes, like any other show or production or even church, of course, you can't help but think of some new things or circle back to something that's come up as a part of a discussion and realize this could probably be a whole show.
Right.
And this one's called, Pastor Holbrook, The Hot Seat. The hot seat. And, if we had real pulpit chairs, we'd be sitting in them right now, But all we have are these office chairs we stole from a business park down the street. But we're talking about what it's like to be in church from the other side. And I want to preface this by saying I have spent the vast majority of my life since I was about 12 and 13 years old at the front of the church, either as a musician or as a minister. Right. I literally, outside of visiting, and only certain contexts, of course, don't even know what it feels like to sit in a pew at a regular everyday service. Right. I really don't. I've rarely gone to anybody else's Sunday morning service. And of course, as a pastor, you're different because you're looking with a different eye, a different criticism, you know. So we're talking about the hot seat, Pastor Jeff.
Absolutely.
What it's like to sit in what used to be, and for you it still is, those stiff, high back, straight leg chairs where the middle one is higher than the two side ones, right? Dave, you know what I'm talking about, Pastor Holbrook. You've been at it all your life, up there with your pops, your grandfather. It just comes with the territory. But we grew up in them high back, you know, sitting like that. And I mean, I'll be honest, as a young man, the first thing I felt was how regal and official you feel, especially when you're younger, as when you get in that spot. It feels so regal. Like I would hear people criticize, like, look at them sitting up there like they're a king on the throne. And, you know, and they would just, then I got up there and I'm like, I kind of feel like a king on it. You kind of feel, because you're up on a platform, you're up in a high chair. But now that we're modernized, I know I just bought new chairs. These joints are comfy. Oh, yeah. I got the big wide back, you know, extra cushion joint, Victorian styled, you know, rolled arms chairs. But whatever it is, there's just something about being up there. There's just something about being up there. And I love the image of it. But for those of you that don't know, it's such a weird experience.
It is. It is.
It's such a weird experience.
And, you know, like you just said, in my present church, they're still like that. But in my last church, we had them. And in our effort to modernize, you know, I took them away, which was not, but a lot of people have a problem.
You got fired.
When you try to. No, I didn't have a problem.
I'll write you a letter.
I didn't have a problem when we took them down there. Okay. But listen, as soon as I left, they put them back up. They put them right back up.
They sent you a message.
This will not stay like this.
Hey, I bet yours are going back too.
But they
as Rose said, I didn't know how to feel when I sat in those chairs. You're supposed to feel like you're ready to go to sleep. But
it does. It does give you that sense of you know, I'm the man now. You know, yeah. I'm the man. Here it is.
I mean, just be transparent. It does. You if you have ego problems, I can hardly get up. If you have ego problems already, that's only going to exasperate it.
And for me, because I took them down at the last church, it's very difficult for me even now because let's just be honest, you got this, at least for me, you got this huge
pulpit
in front of you, so you really can't see me anyway.
You can't
see anything. I literally sit on the end.
You do see. I do when I watch your video.
I'm like that. I'm not sitting in the middle. I can't see nobody.
Anything.
And I love to look out. And we're gonna get to that.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the things that we see when we look out. But I mean that and so because I haven't sat in that experience most of my life as a minister and a pastor, we've been like either off to the side or with a different setup. So when I do go to a church, I have to sit behind the pulpit. They give you the middle seat, which we'll talk about in a minute. It is odd to only have this big pulpit in your face as your view. You really can't see anything. You need to get one of those. Is it hard not to look down on people when you are looking down on people? Yes. Yes, actually. Yes. It is hard.
Scott tripping.
Scott is hilarious. Look, it is. It's hard, especially during praise breaks. I'm like, no, I mean, like I said, that old image, which I do think is inaccurate, most men and women of God do not have this kind of superiority complex. But if there are those who do, they definitely get off on sitting up there and looking down at the little people.
I would much rather prefer, even as we done at Agape, same thing I done at Beulah, is when it's time to preach, I come up from
the side or something.
Side from where everybody else is. And it gives me a sense of we are all the same. We just all here to praise God.
We are not the same.
I know we're not, but it still gives at least gives you that sense of I'm not that regal. This isn't this regal ride.
So I guess the question that we probably already know the answer to is why? Where did this come from? And the answer is going to be a lot of the other things, especially in the black church where this stuff came from, mimicking Catholic, Anglican, basically high church. And let's go back to almost like we would with clothes. You have to remember that you are talking about a culture that this is often the only moment in time of high respectability and honor placed on, especially in black churches, a black man and the minister. So it was just something about being elevated. And by the way, that's a trope I found out from an architect, that's just a basic trope of churches, period. Everything's elevated.
Right. Absolutely.
Everything's high. That's why most of our churches built in the last couple of centuries have steps that go up, because the church is supposed to be higher than all the other buildings in the city, or at least its ground level was supposed to be higher than the ground level of like a house or something. Then, of course, the pulpit is higher than that. Often the cross is higher than that. Pools used to be higher.
Right.
Pools would be up at the top of choir stands. Mm-hmm. So there was just this elevated idea. And so you just work the minister into that. You go into very old churches, like some of our Anglican and Presbyterian church, there's this big, you got to like take a staircase to get up to the pulpit, like on the side.
Absolutely.
So sitting up there is just a natural thing. And it was supposed to be so formal, so official. You have to remember that this comes from the days when church was a lot more stoic and formal than it is now. I mean, if you look at the Pope or how a cardinal sits in their chair during like a mass, that's basically how ministers of all types of churches once sat. Baptists, even Pentecostal, that was just the norm. We just got into like this open stage format, maybe from tent revivals and all that kind of stuff. I'm reading this. All I saw was the word preacher goblet, and I was done. Just give me a second on that. But there was just this.
The juice look good to drink.
Just put it up. Just put it up. Marlon said, as a pew sitter, I was always jealous of seeing the preacher goblet with the single napkin over it because the juice looked good to drink. And it is.
Marlon, tell Jamie she ain't allowed to kidnap you no more.
She ain't allowed to kidnap you. We need you for the show.
That is hilarious.
And you know what made me mad is when we became preachers, they stopped doing the goblets.
They did.
They started giving us bottles of water and Gatorades. And I'm like, give me that Bishop Don Juan joint that y'all was giving. I want that pimp cup y'all
with
had.
The bling on it.
Right, with the bling on it. From the Raiders of the Lost Ark or whatever, the chalice.
But that's why it's fun when you go to other churches, because they ask you,
what do you want?
What would you like to drink? What would you?
I want like Perrier with a spritz of lemon.
Give me a Chardonnay.
I need some Henny.
Give me some Stella Rose.
Taylor Port. I only know this stuff because of Facebook, by the way. I don't even drink. I just have a lot of ratchet friends that need to be saved.
Hey, you go to your church, they be like, here this water, dude.
Right.
Here this water.
Okay, let's talk about the goblets since Marlon brought it up. Because we're all over the place. But let's talk about the goblets, and I want to get to Sister Johnson's message. Check this out. So we would see, the goblet up there. Mm-hmm. And my favorite was when the person would come up, pick up the goblet for the preacher.
Right.
And put it in his hand. And halfway put it to his lips and then wipe his mouth. I'm like,
too much.
It's
Way
much.
too much. Way
Too much. We do. We need to bring the goblets back. We need to do a bring the goblet back service. Now, you know why I didn't do goblets? Because my gestures would be so wild.
I was gonna say that. I don't know how many bottled waters I spilled.
You spilled, yeah.
I spilled several.
We've ruined several pulpits.
Several, because we are just too exciting, and that goblet and that juice
Be all tall up on the side.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It could be a liability. You know, it could be a liability. So no, y'all want the bottle. Pastor can have what he wants. I love it. But one of our commenters talked about the practicality of the elevated podium and pulpit, and that is, back in the day, people needed to be able to see.
Right.
And people wanted to see the priest, the pastor, the minister, whomever it was. And there were no big screens and all of that. And it just had that kind of meaning. We're going to school you in a minute, Jimmy. We're not going to let you go because we're both vote no on issue one thing. So we'll talk about it in a minute. Thank you. Appreciate it. The Catholics still have the goblets. And listen, I know quite a few preachers that still have the goblets. They still have them.
Oh, yeah.
But the elevation of it, so we already established, it does make you feel regal. Mm-hmm. I hope, and maybe this is where we need to segue to, I hope it helps the minister.
Have you ever had some juice up there and they tried to put that napkin over it and the napkin fell
down in the juice? This juice is ruined. I'd take it and throw it in the usher's face. How dare you?
I'm like, are you serious?
How dare you do this to me? You're right. Yeah, that's a disappointment.
It is.
And it's an extra disappointment that the juice is nasty.
Yes.
Did y'all give me sugar free?
Don't y'all know we want pulp free?
Right. Don't nobody want no sugar free Welch's. What's wrong with you? Then they got the nerve to invite you downstairs for
fried chicken
and diabetic punch. Hey, we almost died in Canton last week.
So much that Kool-Aid.
It wasn't even Kool-Aid. It was syrup,
sugar water.
Man, it was straight concentrate. Okay, so what I was gonna say was, sitting in those stiff chairs would normally, hopefully, make the minister take the moment seriously. Because, I know I was scared to death at first.
Oh, yeah.
I was scared to death when I have to sit there because all eyes are on you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we either forget or don't care or take advantage of the fact that all eyes are on us.
Progressive, can I tell y'all? It's not that I always like to praise. My back just be hurting. I know y'all like, man, he always up praising the Lord.
He's exercising.
I'm just like, I'm yawning.
Yeah, right.
My back hurts.
He's doing some chiropractic moves over there. but then we have to talk about pulpit antics.
Oh, God.
And I want to talk about a few pulpit pet peeves. And I want you, there it is. Pulpit pet peeve number one. The preacher that's always in their phone.
That's
now,
Todd.
This is me.
It's Todd.
But I have an excuse.
No, you don't.
I do. I am usually doing some type of...
You bored with everybody else is doing.
This morning, every Sunday.
Boring.
And by the way,
Who told him to preach? Who told him to pray? That prayer was horrible. Hey,
tell them to sit down. We do not do that. But
if me and Todd are ever at a church together and you just see me start laughing for no reason.
Okay, if we're in the same room, yes. If I'm in the same room with Pastor Jeff.
I'm preacher.
If I'm in the room with Pastor Jeff or somebody else that I'm in close relationship with, some texts are going to be sent.
Especially at a funeral.
Still trying to find something to preach. Listen, I'm looking up sermons online. Okay. But seriously, here is the challenge, and we've all been through it. At mid to small churches, the cell phone has become an extension of the work we have to do in the church. Exactly. Is the stream up right? I can change the lyrics on the screen from my phone.
Right.
I might send messages to Mike or the music director or my daughter on the stream and say, do this, do that. This is too loud. Please turn my monitors up, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we've done all of that. And unfortunately, it's a real thing for us that we have to do. We have like automatic Todd's ad lib on the phone excuses. These are real. These are real. We have scripts for our stream that I often paste into the comments. Are you enjoying today's services? Are you a first-time visitor? Like stuff like that. You'd be surprised at how many pastors do that themselves. You'd be surprised.
Some of them know how to play the beat pad up there.
Listen. We were at one church where the pastor was playing the whole beats on his phone during the whole service.
He's just over there.
Right. It's like, is this Dr. Dre over here? Is Dr. Dre? This cat was dropping beats.
It's like, what is going on?
But then there's the pastor. Let's talk about phones that takes phone calls.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, before we had the cell phones, love this pastor to death. I know he don't watch us, so I'm going to say his name. I went up to Pastor Henning's church. That's before he had the one he's at now. This was Zion Dominion in
Rochester?
Rochester.
Okay.
Rochester. He had a gold phone, one of the old style phones. It was gold. It was like this big.
He just started watching right now.
He just answered, hey, hold on.
People would call him?
Oh, yeah. They called him on the phones.
We used to hear the phone ring in church. Mm-hmm. Scott said, checking the Sneaker Preach app. But I'm talking about whole phone conversations.
Yeah.
In the
you do this.
But right.
Like we can't see you.
We can't see you. We can see you.
Get up and walk out.
Yeah, get up. Yeah, absolutely. You know the joke we always say when the phone starts, if it's not Jesus calling you, don't answer. You know, but yeah. So there's the phone advocate. That's one pulpit pet peeve. Here's the second one, and I had this a minister, the preacher that talks too much. It's usually like an associate minister that talks too much. Yeah. Mm-hmm. In other words, they leaned over and said something to you. You're like, oh, yeah. Then they say something else. Mm-hmm. Then they say something else. Then they say something else. Then you realize you've missed half the service and don't even know where you're at in the service. Right. They start asking you crazy questions, and God help me, they be like, I like them shoes, Doc. you clean as the board of health and sharp as a tack. Or my favorite, I was preaching at a church, and the associate minister, I was preaching when they didn't have a pastor. And the associate minister was basically just talking about the church. He's like, yeah, these folk ain't no good, man. They ain't never gonna get a pastor. I mean,
he went to church.
Yeah, right.
He wanted to be the pastor.
And wasn't gonna get it. So, sir talks a lot.
Trina, God bless you. How you doing?
Sister Trina.
Yes, sir. That's my girl.
We need to bring them soul rolls
soul rolls. We
need to have a soul roll night.
Yes, we got Trina. Soul rolls for religiously incorrect Sunday night, 8:00. Hook it up.
We need to make it happen.
Make it happen.
So talking too much in the pulpit. That's a big one. Sister Carter has given one. And you just bust up my whole 2024 game. Please don't have that lady bring a robe to put on you after preaching. I was going to do that because I sweat a lot.
Oh, you already know.
I sweat a lot. Matter of fact, I bet Mother Marsh was getting ready to give me one because they be so concerned. You know, my wife, they be ready to drape that, the big towel over you. Now, you know who had the first Cape preacher I saw? The first Caped Crusader preacher I saw was Elder, now Dr. Melvin Howard Sr.
Okay.
And it was very James Brownish because he wasn't done hooping.
Right.
He had taken a break from hooping. And they brought the cape and put it on him. And he started back, and we was going in. But he threw his head back, and now Melvin Jr. is starting to look just like him. He threw his head back so far, it was like watching the Count with like a cape on, like the Muppet, the Count. He's like,
please.
Right. So you just might see me with a cape.
I love...
And my bishop puts on a cape, so I can't crack on him too.
I love Pastor Harrison's, and he has like
it's like a towel around his shawl.
Snaps around. It's real nice. I know he got a couple of them. He got them initialed his initials on them. So you know how he do it big time.
My bishop has the actual Batman cape with the utility belt and everything. Yes. He has a batarang.
Hey,
is gonna get me.
He got a little Bible in it.
He got it in a holster.
We got every translation. Hit you with the NLV.
If he flips it around himself, he disappears. It's gonna get me.
He got holy water.
See you Tuesday, Dad.
He got anointing oil.
See you on Tuesday. But he looks regal in it. And the man comes up and drapes it over him.
Woo.
See, Marlon remembers Dr. Howard. He said, I remember that he was preaching and fighting the Joker. I wasn't making this. I wasn't making this up.
I am done.
I wasn't making this up. But let's be clear. That is a legitimate way of taking care of us sweating, soggy pastors.
Absolutely. Because
we will get the pneumonia.
Yes, we will.
You know, I don't know how, all the healing power in the room, but we will get the pneumonia if we don't. It's like everybody's healed except the pastor who sweat too much. You catch a cold. All right. We had one that somebody typed in. He said, change the subject. We gonna get it. We had one up, scroll up a little bit. We had yes. Pet peeve. Stuffing the pulpit with preachers.
Somebody got to sit on the floor.
Stuffing the pulpit.
It's just, you know, I had this problem when I was at Beulah. I know you probably have it a little bit now. You got to give assignments to who's going to sit in the pulpit.
Two people with us, two people with me, everybody else on the floor. You know, and it works out well because you know what? I found out that when we do, I told Reverend Carter today, I'm so grateful for such a supportive pastor, nothing like good associate ministers.
Absolutely.
That support the service, support the preaching, and to have that on both ends, behind you and in front of you.
Yes.
That is very
yes, it is.
affirming and encouraging to the preacher. And that's our preaching style. Obviously, it is very helpful to have that affirmation, that support. But yeah, stuffing. There's only so many seats, only so many people you can squeeze in. And then you end up playing, and we talked about this before with special services. As preachers come in, you start playing musical chairs with who's the most important preacher in the room.
Right.
Who is outranking who. And it's not like it's not a competition, but it's a desire to honor. So normally those of us who are a little younger or lower on the totem pole, or we see people as our fathers, as the bishops or whatever. But after a while, especially with those services, and we talked about this with the fried chicken and perfume, show, that those more important pastors usually come in later in the service.
Absolutely.
And those of us who were already there are like, oh, well, Reverend, we're elder, have my seat because, you know, you're older.
But can we just speak to some of these younger pastors, or at least some of these younger ministers who are even at churches? Listen, there may be somebody who comes in who's maybe not as old as you, but they are more skilled than you.
Please.
And you need to understand, and don't act like they ain't.
Well, we could do like Pastor Kidd and have a preach off.
Right. But let's just don't act like they
battle.
ain't. I mean, you don't know John 3:16, and this cat know the whole song.
He knows. Yeah.
He gonna get in front of you.
That's correct.
It's just gonna happen.
That's what's gonna happen. And you know what? So that's awkward now. And this goes into what Marlon's getting ready to say. Do y'all feel it's necessary to acknowledge every preacher and pastor in attendance? Well, there's supposed to be a phrase for that. Number one, it is the house has been addressed, if it's been addressed. But I do think at least once, it is polite.
Right.
It is polite to acknowledge that other clergy are in the room with you. Now, do you need to give a speech about every one of them and an introduction and where you met?
And trying to let every one of them have some words.
And let everybody have words.
You gotta have words. You gotta say something.
Absolutely not.
No.
But I will talk about a personal awkwardness, and that is when you are younger still, and this is me, I'm talking about myself. When you're a little younger, but you're ascending a bit, and people start to treat you according to your little bit of ascendancy, you're in a bigger church now, you know, whatever that might be. The resentment people feel when you're acknowledged a little bit more than others. And here's the worst one. Speaking of acknowledging all the preachers, when one preacher gets way more hand claps than Maybe it's because their church
Absolutely.
came with them. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's, maybe they're more
you just
well-known.
garbage, bro. Garbage. Son, garbage. It's garbage.
is.
Your own people ain't even clapping
Your
for
own
you.
people ain't even clapping for you. And then there's one person, they just get up and start Arsenio Hall. I mean, people would do a jumping jacks.
Well, here's one thing for me, and maybe this is just me. I know that, I have been, got a little bit of established, especially in our area. So anywhere we go, we're asked to come up. But for me, a lot of times I really do just want to sit out in the audience and listen to the sermon.
I don't. I want to be up.
I don't. I really, because
I want to be up there and look down on people.
I don't have the same listening abilities while I'm up there.
Now, I will agree with you. It's a different type of listening when you are up behind and beside and when you are in the pew.
Right.
It is a different kind of listening. But I will say, I'm judging the church either way. I am judging that church either way. No matter where I'm sitting,
but dude,
I'm judging what's happening.
have you ever been where they don't take no for an answer? They're like,
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
I'm good. I'm saying, no, you gotta come on. You're a pastor. You're a preacher.
Man,
Nigga, I want to sit here.
them is them good ushers.
Right.
Them is them. They would take your coat from you.
Take your Bible.
Then they hide
your
it.
Bible. You ain't gonna come to the front.
They take
You ain't even
your
gonna
coat.
get study.
They take your coat and then take it to the pastor's office at the church down the street. They take it to a pastor's office in a whole nother church across town, and you can't even leave now.
Right.
And then you got to get up there in front of everybody and find a seat, shake hands with everybody, acknowledge everybody. It's tough.
And then you got to walk out with your finger up. It's like, I told you I was leaving in half an hour. You made me come up here.
Exactly. Now it looks like I don't like this preacher. That is very true. Or they want you to pray all the time. Get up and have words, say a prayer, jump into the spirit that they created.
Right.
They're like, spirit's moving, and throw you the mic. I'm like, what you want me to do? Take up an offering for myself? Okay, I got another pulpit pet peeve. I don't know which one is worse. The preachers who are not preaching, but who either do nothing the whole service, or who do way too much.
It's too much. It's too much.
I'd rather you just sit there. If you're gonna be extreme, I'd rather you be extremely boring.
Just raise your hand.
And when I say, and trust me, hey, if I'm the preacher and I'm doing what Pastor Todd does and I'm just going at it, man, throw your purses at me, do all that stuff, knock yourself out. But if I'm just saying hello, it's good to be here. Come on, Doc.
Wow.
Watch your tone.
Wow.
You walking heavy. Walk heavy, Doc.
Preach a word, sir.
Say a word, sir.
Say a word,
They
sir.
ain't ready for this. They don't hear you. Then don't you hate when somebody tells you to say it again?
Say it one more time.
All right, say it
one more time.
That was good.
They ain't hear you. They ain't hear you, Doc.
Say it again. I'm gonna take that one. You just telling the
They're
whole
talking
church.
to you and talking to their next door neighbor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take.
Y'all hear that?
Y'all hear that? I'm gonna take that one.
Yeah. The too much the head shakers. Oh, the head. I'm a head shaker. I'm a head shaker. Sometimes you don't know what else to do. But cross your arms and shake your head.
Absolutely.
And again, if we've all gone up to the mountain together,
right?
I'm cool with a mountain experience.
I like it when all the preachers are sitting down on the seats. And then before the sermon, they just start inching up a little bit closer, and a little bit closer, a little bit closer.
And then when they feel you getting there, they all stand for you. And you got to do something now.
Absolutely.
You can't let them down now. Like, preach, don't fail me now.
Right.
That's what I say. I say, hoop, don't fail me now. So I mean, that is... Sister Carter is a head shaker. She's a head shaker. You know, watch them wings. That's the lady head shakers got to be careful. Lady head shakers got to be careful.
Here we go in the wigs again. Oh Lord.
The lady head shakers got to be careful. All right. I got another preacher pet peeve, and this goes back to the old school setup of being right behind the pulpit, but you're also right in front of the choir stand. Mm-hmm. And you're trying to either enjoy or avoid the choir, and sometimes at the same time.
Right.
I'm glued down. She said, I got that holy glue. So sometimes you're trying to enjoy the choir, and you have to turn all the way around and give yourself a whole back cracker just to, because if it's getting good, you want to turn around, because again, your view is so bad. But then you might be in front of like a wild choir, or they're clapping over your head, or they're rocking, or let's just be, sometimes, you know, some lady parts bouncing on you. And I'm like, I was in the church one time, and I was like,
praise him.
I'm like, what's going on
Praise
here?
him.
And it made me mad, because I'm like, how is this lady so close to me? I'm like, you should move, do something, because I'm just sitting there. And I was like, I was the second seat.
Oh, my.
I was in the second seat. So the seat wasn't tall enough.
Can I help the pastors out for a second?
Yeah.
Pastors, please know your church.
Know your church.
Know your church. Listen, if you got this much room between the pulpit and the first pew, you can't have flaggers.
Don't have a praise
You
dance.
can't have a flag. You can't do it.
Don't have a praise
Somebody
dance.
gonna get hit.
Matter of fact, if you have all the space in the world in your church, still don't have flaggers. I don't care. I don't care if you have 60 feet of space. Just do without it.
No flags, huh?
Hey, this is why we need to vote no on issue 1.
We about to get
Issue 1 is
canceled.
about flagging in
So I can bring a
church.
constitutional amendment to ban flagging in church.
Oh my God, I'm done.
Okay, so the position is, and then when the service gets good or the preaching gets good, speaking of tight spaces, we should have all figured something out by now. And yeah, I'll pick on your church. We should have all figured out something by now in our smaller churches. We should have all made some adjustments.
Absolutely.
Because when you are already tight when you're sitting, then when you want to get up and support the preacher and he's going in, there's nowhere to go. I mean, you are literally going to become collateral damage.
Absolutely.
And you're trying to stand off to the side. You're trying to, you stand up and start to move off to the side to give the preacher space. But there is no space because they stood up right into the pulpit. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, we all should be making some kind of adjustment. Take out a row of choirs that do something. Y'all choirs ain't that big no more anyway.
Right.
Do something to make a little bit more space. Because we were real tight at the old setup at Second Baptist. It was fairly tight. And it was, hard. That's why I went to a different setup and we renovated.
Take out that first row.
Take out that first
pew.
row. The first
it's
pews,
okay.
choir pews. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Any more pulpit pet peeves?
Man, it's probably a million.
Okay, I got one. When the musicians are way too close to the preacher seats. Like the drum set.
Yeah.
The cymbals are in your ear. The organ is at your back. And I'm not picking on small churches.
I think one time I was preaching and playing the drums at the same time. This is not where I'm at now.
And let me tell you something. It's always the churches that are smaller, and it's no disrespect to a small church, but it's always the churches that are smaller and everything's very tight, and the organ and the drums and the guitar player are right there, that they all play extra loud.
Hey, Dave, you may have made some great changes, but you still got those flashlights in your pool.
Oh, they got the giant.
Dave got those lights that will burn your eyes out.
Yeah, the whole Brooks.
I'm like, Dave.
They're burning the sin out of you. I mean, they're like, you want to know what hell feels like? Come up and sit on the stage.
I'm like, Dave, I need to read the Bible, not burn it.
Right.
So what do you got on? What's going on up here?
I came off the stage, my suit was a whole different color. So yeah, I mean, being way too close. Or they're gone now.
They go.
Okay. So invite me to your church now.
Yes, we can come.
Right. So that's a pulpit. So let's talk about the change before we go. So as you mentioned, so many of us have made changes. And you mentioned that a lot of pastors sit on the front row now. Mm-hmm. Some of them sit on the side now. But I have noticed a trend is that on one hand, and it started with our like white pastors did it first. They would like sit on the front row or on the side in regular chairs. And by the way, they had church chairs.
Right.
Before any of us had church chairs, they had the church chairs. And then they would just sit in them. And then the black pastors started doing it. But what we did was we started taking the whole pulpit setup down to the floor with us.
Right.
So now you're on the floor, but you still have this tall chair, this table beside you with some mints and towels and oil and, some doilies for the first lady. You've basically recreated the whole thing. And I've been in some churches where now you can't see past the pastor because their throne is in the front row. And so it's like we almost still can't let go of the sort of big seat thing.
Yeah, we can't. But I do sort of like that floor setup, more so like, praise the Lord, the late, great Pastor Locke.
Okay.
They would literally bring his podium out.
Yes, they would roll it out.
They would roll it out, and he would stand right there on the floor with the people. I sort of like that. I don't know.
Well, that was the setup of his church.
Well, yeah, that
wasn't going to work in a lot of our churches.
It was great for them, but a lot of people do have old Dollar Generals now, and so it's
correct.
Not. It works. Have to do.
It works there.
Yeah.
It works there. Yeah. And I think it does. But my thing is, I don't like having my back to the people.
Okay.
So that's why I don't like sitting in the front row, facing the pulpit. Yes, rolling podiums are a thing. We had a rolling podium at Agape.
You made a rolling podium.
I did make a rolling podium.
It wasn't a real rolling, but you made a rolling podium.
I added wheels to it. And it worked most of the time.
You George Johnson did.
It was a George and Me episode.
It was an episode of George and Me.
Yes.
Hey, and they still on there.
They still on there.
I put some 22s on it, some spinners. It's easier to hide being your phone. It is.
Yeah, that's true.
It is easier to hide being on your phone on the floor. It absolutely is. I'd rather sit on the side. Like I like the perfect setup I like is the caddy corner like we are now. Facing the congregation, but not directly behind the pulpit. But let's go back to that being directly behind the pulpit. Even if you are now, there are so many glass podiums that you're not really hidden.
Yeah.
And this goes back to, by the way, we opened this up, the secret before, that the one thing you lose by sitting on the floor, sitting on the side, or sitting behind the glass podium, the one thing you lose out on is all the junk you used to store in the old pulpit.
God. Oh my God.
For those of you that don't know what a black church wooden pulpit is like.
Oh my God.
It's a whole junk closet. You know how y'all have a junk closet in your house? That is literally the inside.
Mail.
Sandwiches.
Old mics.
Ziploc bags.
The
old mic foam covers.
With lipstick on it.
Hey, a couple of half hymn books with all the pages missing. Or the cover missing.
Some gum.
Tambourines with the jangles missing. Everything you could think of.
Listen,
drumsticks.
If you
wanted a pair of drumsticks.
If you want to know what happened in 2010 on the bulletin, look
inside that. It's still in there.
It's still in there.
It's still in. And don't
you got a whole janitor that cleans the church, but won't clean the pulpit.
Don't you dare clean it out.
They ain't allowed up in the pulpit.
No, you're not allowed up in it. That's why you can't walk across the pulpit, so you can't take my stuff. So you can't take my stuff.
All right, I have a question.
All right, Mike.
You guys talked about things from the pulpit, what you see in the pulpit. What do you see in the audience from the pulpit?
Kids digging in their nose.
Mean folk.
Cats trying to mac. I'm like, right. I see me preaching.
Right. And let's just be clear. And when it is, let's just say, a shapely woman walks into the church. Mm-hmm. You see the eyes of every man. And not every man, because a couple of them are holy. But you see the eyes of the men following her down the aisle. And here's the worst one. Then you see the eyes of their wives.
Looking at them. Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, no, she didn't.
And that's how the argument began.
Right. You see people checking their phones, their watches, People sleep. Pastor Boo said people sleeping.
Hey, Pastor Bowie, how you doing?
Hey,
sir?
Pastor Boo. Hey, that one blinking light that the trustees haven't fixed in like 6 months. That one light in the back of the church.
Hey, the one clock that don't work.
The clock that does not work.
You're like, I know we started at 11. Why is it 9:15?
That water spot that been there since 72. Paint just cracking.
Hey, the funniest thing is you know exactly who's on time and who's late.
People passing their babies. Absolutely. People pass. You know who's late. People coming in.
We know you don't come in till 11:35
We already
every
do.
week.
And you think we don't see you.
Same thing.
Yeah, we definitely see. Yeah, that's one of the things. Definitely what we see. We see people's responses, like you mentioned, different. It could be an announcement that somebody's making, a prayer or remark somebody's giving, seeing the people's responses to them.
Right.
And you can tell it's not going over well.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
can tell. What's up, Pastor Kent? Good to see you, man. We're talking about pulpit pet peeves. We're talking about the hot seat, what it's like to be in the pulpit. I know he's got some stories. So yeah, I mean, the preacher view is and by the way, I am terrible with the faces.
Are you?
I'm terrible. Yeah. My wife, CJ, I show on my face clearly what I'm feeling during the service. If something's going on too long, something's not going well, choir ain't hitting, whatever it might be, something's bothering me. I need to wear a mask again. I need to just pretend like I have COVID.
The mask did hide everything.
I need to pretend like I have COVID all the time.
You do see that one lady who be sleep, she be like this.
Yes. Jeff talking about progressive now.
Hey, she be like,
Right. Where's my hat?
a wig be gone like a bug.
There it is. Thank you, Pastor Holbrook. I see my wife.
Ooh.
I see my wife. And I'm so glad that my wife sits behind me most of the time in the choir stand. Because that's been good for me. I could not, because she would give me some looks. Like Jen. It's hard sometimes not to show facial. It is. It's hard. I don't know. You got any questions for us? Do you guys have any questions for us about maybe pulpit, secrets of the pulpit? I'll tell you, awkward pulpit is, speaking of stuffing the podium and stuffing the pulpit chairs, when it is very clear that people on the pulpit don't like each other. Like when ministers, from different churches, and you can just tell it's a coldness. Their face change when they get up to speak. When the one gets up to speak, their face, changes, or they greet everybody extra warm and just kind of like,
Right. So
you got to be polite. And I will say, at funerals, all the preachers pretend to like each other.
Yeah.
Even if they want to fight in the
they
parking
talk
lot.
about you afterwards.
We'll talk about you.
They talk about you afterwards.
We'll talk about you.
It might not be pulpit etiquette or one of the things, but one of the things that you can see up there is when the funny thing that you can see is when you get a wrong scripture.
Oh yes,
yes. They be looking at
when somebody says something wrong or misquote something. Absolutely.
They look at you crazy.
Okay, how do y'all feel? Okay, that's a good one. How do y'all feel about the preacher kneeling before and after preaching? Is it necessary or just for show? Okay, that's an interesting one. I picked up that habit from the Kojic church.
Did you?
From going to the Kojic church, and when they would come in, a little short prayer, consecration, which to me, I was like, that's dope. Like, that's what you should do. Now, I know somebody
I think it's
would
beautiful,
say,
but I think most of us don't do it at home. We just do it when we go somewhere else.
I was about to say that. I never do it a second.
I never do it. Yeah. I do it every time I go somewhere else. But
now, I feel like I was doing it when I first came to Second and I stopped at some point. I was probably like, I'm tired of these Negroes. They don't deserve
they don't deserve prayer.
They don't deserve this. Ninjas that got on my last nerves. I'm about to fuss today. I ain't praying. Yeah, so I do it when I visit.
Right.
I do it when I visit. Right. I pray before and after I preach when I visit, but not at home. Maybe I feel like I'm already prayed up and you're in a strange space.
Right.
You know, but I think it's just one of those traditions that people just do. I'm sure some people do it for show. Some people want you to see their red bottoms.
Right. Or
they want you to.
Some people want you to think they deep, like they're about to bring this major word.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's about to be. Yeah.
You should have prayed a little longer. You should have prayed a little longer.
It's a whole kindergarten Sunday school lesson. David, and D stands for determined. Hey, so she mentioned the soloist or the director doing too much. Yes, that is real. The soloist in the tight dress or the director doing too much. Especially, that's another pulpit pet peeve. I still believe that the director or the soloist should either sing from the side of the pulpit or direct from the floor. I'm still old school. Now, we do it because we have an open plan now. But in the days where you have a traditional chairs, pulpit, for some reason, I still believe that only preaching should happen in that space.
Yeah.
And I know that that's old school, but especially if it's tight and you're going to do a lot of stuff. If you stomp on my discount Stacey Adams, my Stacey Fadams, my Tracy Adams.
Here's a good question for you.
I'm going to have a problem.
Elder Carter talked about women in the pulpit having to wear a lap hanky. Have you ever said somebody's not addressed appropriately? Have you ever had to address anybody?
In the pulpit, like actual ministers, or in the church,
in the
period?
Pulpit.
Never in the pulpit. I never had to do that in the pulpit. And if it's in the church, I got folk that'll take care of that.
Right.
And they need to. But I will say, to Reverend Carter's point, I don't know if she was speaking about in the pulpit or,
she was talking about in the pulpit,
or looking out from the pulpit. Because sometimes when we're looking out from the pulpit, we can see people inappropriate. There was one, I can't even say it, because there was a person at a funeral a while back that came to speak, and they come around and sit in the front row. And I'm like, lady, you are way too old to not know how to sit.
Right.
And I'm a grown man, and I'm not sure, and I'm trying to look, you are way too old. I'm a grown man, and I knew as a young man, you better cross them ankles.
Right.
Okay, that's a missionary Simpson, cross them ankles. I mean, and I'm like, are you serious? So Elder Carter clarified, do you not like being told or feeling expected to use the hanky, or do you not like seeing people who don't use it?
She got three of them on her.
She does. Yeah, she got like a whole quilt. She come
She has an Afghan.
She has an Afghan.
Hey, she just put it over a whole bunch. And she be shaking her head under the quilt.
It's order. That's right. Yeah. It's order. I'm just that way. Like, I just don't feel like everybody should run across the pulpit. Now, in these days, I get that you might need to, for logistical purposes, cross a pulpit, but the fact that people just jump around and want to be in the middle.
Right.
Again, I was raised in the direct from the floor mode. That's how old school, you direct from the floor. The pulpit was tight. They just have to figure out what you're saying,
One thing I don't know if I would, and I guess I haven't been there, and I've preached over at Tabernacle and churches like that, but they
Mom has a blanket.
They buy these old Orthodox churches that have pulpit on the left and the right, and they have to pick which one they want.
Right.
Pick which one they want to
use.
Preach from that day.
Yeah.
I don't know if I guess I would get used to it.
I moved that sucker to the middle.
Just put one in the middle.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed it. I hope we illuminated you all to a couple. If you have any more questions or comments, we'll give you a couple seconds. But I want to address these shirts.
You said, I got a blanket. I don't care about you laughing.
I want to address these shirts
the air up.
that me and Jeff have on.
Yes.
Both of us have shirts on that say vote no on issue 1.
And this was not even planned.
This wasn't planned. We just have like spirits and hearts.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because, Jeff, I'm going to give you credit. Because you're my brother and because we have like spirits, I'm so glad you're in Warren.
Bless you.
Because I now have a partner in an outspoken, politically aware, and a person who's willing to speak out about policies and issues that affect our people. And we need more. We need more
She said the air will freeze black people. Hey, Sonya.
A second it does.
Sonya.
It does.
I remember a couple years when that air was out. You might want to be
Listen, I'm still sweating that air. Still sweating all that air. But yeah, I remember them devil days, boy. But we are encouraging, and this is why. And unfortunately, I saw this. I looked up 2 local white evangelical pastors' pages today. Mm-hmm. And both of them were doing what black people should be doing. Mm-hmm. Black pastors should be doing. They were speaking out on the issue, and they were on the opposite side of the issue, and they were encouraging their churches on Facebook to go and vote. Yes. But the problem was they distorted the reasons why they should vote. The reason we're encouraging people to vote no on issue 1 is that for 111 years, Ohio has given citizens the opportunity to introduce amendments to the Constitution, the Ohio Constitution, by going through the petition process that has been in place for decades. When that petition process if it gets on the ballot, it has to be approved by the voters with a 50% majority, like all other elections, like any mayoral election, governor's election, any of that. And they are trying to move the goalposts because of certain issues that they are opposed to. And instead of letting the citizens vote on these issues the way they would have voted on anything else, they now want to interrupt with a special August election, by the way, which they just outlawed.
They just outlawed special elections
last year because it was costly and nobody voted. Then so they slipped in.
They slipped in and done one on us anyway.
And I want to be clear here. I believe in voting no, not because I am for or against any of the issues they're concerned about. Those issues. The issues are abortion and all this other stuff, but because the citizens' voices should be heard as they've been heard for 111 years. And I just want to make a mention of some statistics that were brought up. One of the things that were said, and this was on a local white pastor's page, he said, or he shared a page that said that if we don't vote for issue 1, then basically urban cities will dominate the state. And what they were really saying was black people. Mm-hmm. Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Toledo, saying they would dominate the state. Here's the crazy thing. Apparently they don't.
Right.
Because we have a Republican governor, legislature, Supreme Court. Most of our counties are dominated by Republicans. Absolutely. So the urban areas will dominate the rural areas is an outright lie. Second thing they said is that right now, half of the counties rule the other half. That's just for the petition process. All 88 counties still vote on any amendments. On any amendments, and they have to pass. And by the way, there have been, in 111 years, 77 citizen-led amendments on the ballot, and only 19 of them have passed. But you know what I found out last night? A number of those had to do with civil rights legislation, integrating the Ohio National Guard, voting rights for Ohioans, a couple of key things back in our history that were brought forth through citizen-led amendments. But there have been 228 amendments made to the state. Only 77 of those were even proposed. Only 19 of them were actually from citizen-led amendments. So this whole idea that all these changes are going to happen. And I want to give one more argument, because Frank LaRose has said that look at how little the U.S. Constitution is changed and how much the Ohio Constitution has all these amendments. And my answer to that is America is set up to give power to the states, not the federal government.
That's right.
So the states are supposed to move more fluidly and more flexibly with the changing times, because most of the power is with the states. How the elections are run, with the states. What laws will be around abortion, with no Roe v. Wade, with the states. All those things are state level issues. So it only stands to reason that there will be more amendments at the state level, because most of the power is given to the states. That's why states are so distinct and different from one another. And, a state right next to us can be wildly different than, a border state. So I want you to give your take. We are firm vote knowers, and we're proud as pastors to say that. And I want Pastor Jeff to give his take before we go.
go as deep, and I mean, Todd already said everything that really needs to be said. It's really simple for me. We have a responsibility. Matter of fact, there is human sovereignty, and there's divine sovereignty and human responsibility. And so here it is. God can stop this vote, but we have a responsibility to go to that election. Now, answer me this. Did they change it where we can't vote tomorrow? Is there?
Yes, there's no early voting.
There's no early
Monday.
voting
And
tomorrow. I want y'all to know that.
I heard some of our pastors say it incorrectly. I've heard other people say it incorrectly. There is no early voting on Mondays anymore. They got rid of that. The Monday before the election, I should say, is no longer early voting.
So I want to make sure that was. Yeah, I want to make sure it's only Tuesday. So Tuesday is your next and last time you can do that. Here's what I said to Dan Church. Here's what I said today. There is in football, there is a rule called forward progress, which simply means at the point the player gets stopped, that's where the ball ends up. That's where the ball ends up, regardless of how far the defender tries to push him back. Mm-hmm. We will no longer allow ourselves, black people, to be pushed back to a day and age where our votes didn't matter and our voices were not heard. Get out there and vote no on August 8th.
I want to address our friend Pastor Jimmy Davis, and he's a friend of ours. I grew up with Pastor Jimmy. We've been friends, knowing each other, high school. I remember his wild days. God's done a phenomenal thing in his life. And I want you to scroll back up to what he said, Mike, about that he heard, and this has been pushed, that voting no, if we vote no, it will make it easier for things like the transgender agenda in our schools and abortion rights. My humble response to you, Jimmy, as a friend, I fully know and understand that perspective comes from many of our conservative and then again, I understand the religious convictions behind it. I understand. I am disappointed that there is so much what I would call, just me, fear mongering around those two issues. I am not a staunchly pro-choice person. I'm really not staunchly pro-choice, but I do believe that government should play a role, but should not dominate and domineer, and that the citizens should decide what they want to allow within reason. I fear that those are being used, Pastor Davis, as and I appreciate it. I appreciate you saying that. I fear that those issues are not really genuine issues that Republicans, from a political standpoint, are concerned about. I believe they know that will get Christians riled up.
It is
when the real issue is they want to make it harder for any power or any political swing to ever come back and be more balanced.
It is what the young folk would call gaslighting.
Gaslighting.
They are gaslighting you, gaslighting us, so that we can make a call on our emotional, whether it be abortion, whether it be the LGBTQ agenda, all of that is gaslighting.
And to the point that I said earlier about urban counties or cities ruling over liberal cities, ruling over rural cities. Again, if that were the case, then we would have all Democratic and liberal leadership in the state.
Absolutely.
We have almost all GOP and conservative leadership in the state, which means that if by chance an abortion amendment came up, and under the 50% rule still, the only reason it would pass would not be because of liberal cities.
That's right.
It will be because rural people and others have also, for whatever reason, whatever their own personal convictions are, have changed their minds about what they desire.
That's right.
And I want to remind you all again that this is the same party, and I know this might not be a good reason for you, Brother Jimmy, but that has ignored unconstitutional district maps, that has gerrymandered maps, and that's why we believe it's a power play. I believe that whatever the majority rule should be, even on issues that are unpopular for me, because here's what I believe, and I'm just gonna make a point, and I know we're going over time, but I really want to make a point about this. I've been told by some of my, and certainly not Pastor Davis, not Pastor Jimmy, but so many of my white conservative brothers would say about things like racism and police brutality, well, laws aren't going to change people's hearts. Laws aren't going to make sin stop happening. Only God can do it. But I never hear them say that about abortion.
That's right.
I never hear them say that about I never hear them say, we're not going to worry about what the law is. We're not going to worry about whether or not they can allow transgender this or abortion that. They always say this must be stopped.
Right.
And so I just believe that it is a direct threat to the democratic process. I believe that it is the issues that have been brought before many of my white friends, many of my conservative evangelical friends, and black, by the way, and black, because there are a lot of black conservative thinking people, that we have gotten into a world of fear-mongering and exaggeration about what's really going on. These are the same people who tell you that CRT is being taught in our schools, and it's not. It's not. So our position is vote no.
Just vote no. And real quick, I know we got to go.
Our position is a vote no.
I know we got to go, but I just want to say this too, that the 28th, is that correct?
Yes.
The 28th, Pastor Todd, Second Baptist, organizations such as Action will be sponsoring
Freedom Sings.
Freedom Sings. That's
a 60th anniversary of the March on Washington.
It is on a Monday.
And a Monday. Well, the March on Washington was on a Wednesday.
Right. But we're not used to having stuff on Monday
things, yeah. But I just thought it was so almost appropriate to try to do it on a weekday like that, because that represented the sacrifice. These people took off work, interrupted their days to do it. So we'll be talking about it more.
Yeah, I think I just want to make sure we get that out there. Come out, support. It's going to be a great night, and we're gonna have a good time.
Absolutely. Hey, we appreciate y'all watching. We appreciate y'all sitting in for our political spills about this stuff. And I wore this shirt for the second day in a row, and I'm kind of funky, you know what I mean, and kind of rank. But I only get one more day to wear it, so I'm gonna wear it tomorrow too. So it is what it is. But y'all take care. Be sure to like, follow, check us out on Religiously Incorrect. See you next week in Sunday night service.
Before we go, I want to thank our sponsors.
Here we go, sneaker preaching.
The African American Community Fund, Miss Rosetta Carter in Action, and also Phillips Care, who've been rocking with us from day one.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you guys. To the viewers, appreciate you guys rocking with us too. Tune in next week. Another episode, Religiously Incorrect, Sunday night service.
You want to be a preacher so bad.
No, I don't. I'm good.
Mother Marsh, we working on him.
All right, peace, y'all.